How did you arrive at the name Gary Numan?
Yellow Pages.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was at Beggars Banquet office looking through their local edition of Yellow Pages, and it was Numan Kitchen Appliances in Earls Court. N-E-U-M-A-N-N.
Like the microphones.
Yeah, and which is German, obviously. So I thought, and this is when Bowie was doing all his Berlin by the Wall stuff. And I thought, I don't have a German name. First of all, because I'm English, and secondly, because there's this Bowie connection. Which obviously didn't work out. So I took the E off and the N off, and it ended up being Newman with a U, rather than Neumann, the German things. That's how it came to have that spelling. And
when you wrote it down, did you go, oh yeah?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Hit it.
It's the most difficult thing to find. I know Gary Webb is not a particularly... I didn't think that was a rock star name. It's not, is it? Really?
No.
Anyway, so I thought I'll go with a different name, but finding something that worked, it was actually really difficult. I mean, I had one or two out, I can't remember now. I think I was making the first album and I still hadn't come up with a proper name for it.
That was the Two Bay Army album.
Yeah.
Which the record label were crazy about when they first heard. Is that right?
No, it's understandable, because I mean, they signed me as a punk pop crossover act, and I go into the studio to record the first album, which is all the live stuff that we were doing then, which is all this punky pop stuff, and there's a synthesizer in the corner, which they let me use because it was should have been collected and it hadn't been.
What was it? Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, Mini Moog. Oh. And the hire company called Morris Plaquet. Remember it?
Yeah, I remember Morris Plaquet
in great detail. And there it was, sitting in the corner of the control room at Spacewood Studios in Cambridge. Right. A man called Mike Kemp used to run it, and Mike was there. And I said, "Can I have a look? Can I have a go?" I'd never seen a real one before, and I'm geeky, so the fact that dials and switches, loved all that,
Sure.
But never actually played one. Never heard of, apart from Rick Wakeman and all that. But I wasn't a massive fan. I heard Kraftwerk were cool, but I wasn't really a massive fan of electronic music because I hadn't heard that much that I'd liked, really. Right. Kraftwerk was alright, but I wasn't a massive fan. But I had no electronic, I had no plans to go that way at all. I was still...
So you had a plonk around on the Mini Moog?
I had a plonk around it, plugged it in. In fact, I didn't even have much of a plonk. First key that I pressed was that amazing, huge bottom end Moog sound that they're so well known for.
Yeah.
And I mean, the room shook. And I'd never heard anything like it. The most powerful thing. You could feel the air going through your head, and just amazing. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's it. I'd always tried to get the guitars to be more and more powerful. At one point, when Tube was a 3-piece, at one point I had in another guitar. Martin from Beggars Banquet used to say, "What's the point? Because he's doing exactly the same thing as you are." I said, "Yeah, I just want it to be more powerful, and it's not powerful enough. So two of us doing the same thing. I'll have three if I can get another one."
Sure.
And then I found a synthesizer, and
that fulfilled that need.
Well, it seemed to, yeah. So I went back to the record company. I very, very quickly changed the guitar track. They're going at the two on the synth, and went back with that. So it was a very much on-the-fly pseudo punk electronic record, and they were not happy at all. Wasn't what they put me in to do. So it got awkward for a bit. Had a bit of a fight.
But they ended up releasing it.
Well, they had to. The reviews that it got, although not glowing and across the board, were surprisingly more positive than I think Beggars expected. I didn't honestly know what to expect, but I was pleased. But when I was doing the punk thing, everyone, it was bands.
Sure, you had to have it.
So we just joined them out. I didn't want it to be called The, because everyone was called The something. Sure. So I called it Tube. The band I joined was called The Lasers.
Right.
And I said to them when I joined it, I only joined as a rhythm guitar player. I said to them when I joined it, look, you do a lot of cover versions, and you call The something. Everyone's called The something. Why don't we call it something different? It's only my first rehearsal with them, so I was pushing my nose in a bit, really. So they said, well, what do you expect? I said, well, Tube Army. So I wanted to call it Tube Army. I'd been writing stories, and Tube Army was a character or a thing in one of the stories that I was writing, and I said, let's call it Tube Army or Tube, and they said Tube Army, And I said, look, and all your songs you do are cover versions, you don't do any original songs at all. He said, well, we don't write. So I got loads. I'd just been thrown out of the band I was in before, the Main Street, so I said, let's do them. Most of those ended up being, well, a lot of those actually ended up being on the, no, not a lot, 3 or 4, ended up being on that first album as pseudo electronic, but they was initially guitar things.
Sure.
So so at the end of that first rehearsal, I changed the band name. They were doing all my songs, and I was singing because Paul, who was the singer before, couldn't sing the songs that I'd written. I'd actually intended to go into that band and just stay in the background because I'd been thrown out the one before. I was all disenchanted with the whole thing. I'm not. I don't think of myself as a horrible person. I really don't. But I have to say, yeah, you know, when something like that happens and then something good happens to you, it's very, very difficult not to go.
Well, it's karma, isn't it? What they put like that.
Shallow man that I am, it was actually quite a pleasant experience.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
I bet it was.
I do feel a bit guilty about that, I have to say, but I can't help it. Even now I smile, and I feel guilty about that.